Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is KalicaTv and you're going to be nicer to tech support after watching this video. You bent my cable through the internet. This one happened to my coworker. I was sitting alongside and got to hear the most interesting one-sided conversation I've heard in a while. Hello, this is company, coworker speaking. Can I have your name and store number? Okay client, how can I help? So, I actually see that your server is online, and I can get into it. Yes, I just moved a window around on your screen, can you see that? Okay, let's try turning the screen on and off. No signal, or power saving mode? Great, let's check that signal cable. Oh, it's fallen out? That's no problem, let's just plug it back in. Oh, it won't fit? What does it look like? Blue with 2 screws. Great, look for a blue port on the monitor. Yep, that sounds like it. Just plug it on in. Still won't fit? Is it dirty? Ah, it sounds like the pins are bent. That cable has to be replaced. Now, I can send you one, but I'll be honest, our shipping fee is more expensive than the cable. If you take it up to a Walmart or Best Buy, they can hook you up with a new one. At this point I hear faded shouting from my coworker's headset. He sits and just listens, dumbstruck. He reaches over and turns on call recording. This client explains that, using the internet, my coworker had sent a signal through the cable that had bent the pins. Thus, he needs to send the reverse signal and bend them back. A replacement cable is not acceptable. Having the client source one locally is not acceptable. Both are a waste of time and money because he can just send the reverse signal. If that's too hard, he needs to talk to someone smarter who can reverse it for him. I would laugh, but I can't believe my ears. The manager button is quickly pressed, and our manager calms the client down. He then gets her to run to Walmart by saying that she can get a stronger cable that can't be bent by signals. It has a white head and 2 screws, not blue. It will need some setup when she plugs it in, so she needs to call us once it's in place. 2 hours later, I get the return call from the client. I switch over the screen output and it works perfectly. Now, this is a relatively happy ending. But it gets better. 2 weeks later, my coworker gets a package delivered to his desk. Inside is the bent cable, some Skittles, and a note. The note explains that the cable is for my coworker to prove that he bent it. The Skittles are for me for setting up the new cable and that I should share it with the manager. That cable still hangs in a place of honor by our workstation. Wow, we are 1 story in and my brain is already completely scrambled by this client's thought process. What benefit would tech support have to sending an employee to Walmart to buy a new cable? They literally gain nothing from it. Anyway, let's move on quickly. None of my agents are able to sign in. We are hard down. This is a text message I was getting at 5 AM, followed by a phone call from an irate supervisor. I had done a change last night. Tested it and it worked fine, so I wasn't sure what was going on. The change consisted of pushing out an update for VM Horizon client, and our VM vendor put us behind a different firewall. So I turn on my laptop to see this coach, supervisor, has emailed me, my boss, her boss, our emergency response team, and the client, all on one email talking about how she wasn't made aware of the change and they did not receive proper training on it. I didn't send any training out because nothing changes as far as an end user experience, but I did let them know a change was happening and to let me know if there's any issues. Okay, whatever, let's see what the problem is. I sign into my laptop, open VMware, sign right in. Okay, let's RDP into an agent's desktop and see what the issue is. I know this isn't great security practice, but all agent passwords are the same format where the first part of the password is the same. The end of their password is their employee ID, and then they receive a 2-factor authentication phone call. So I'm on this agent's desktop, type his credentials in for him, he gets his phone call, he's in. So what's the problem? I call the supervisor back to get an explanation, and her response is, the login page is broken, there's no place to enter their password. Strange, because I just signed myself and an agent in. So I RDP into the supervisor's desktop, enter her credentials, she gets the phone call. She's flabbergasted and asks how I did that. Isn't this how you sign in every day? No, the login page has changed and nobody can get in. They don't know what the passcode is. What do you mean passcode? It's asking for a passcode when you sign in. I sign out of VMware, go to sign back in, and holy crap. The change we made changed the word password to passcode. That was it. Everything else functioned exactly the same except the name of the field changed. I didn't send an alert out about this before the change because I didn't even notice it. I'm not sure what is more blood boiling, that nearly every agent freaked out when they saw it and alerted the supervisor, or that the supervisor told them not to touch anything until she called me. I sent an email out to everyone. They all sign in, and now that the client is aware and saw that nobody was taking phone calls when they were supposed to, we got slapped with a fine for being down for an hour. My boss defended me, stating that stupidity isn't an IT issue, but we still got pulled into a meeting getting our asses chewed for not providing proper documentation, and it was mentioned that since this was an IT issue in their eyes, that the $7,000 fine to the client would come out of the IT budget. I've been with this company almost 10 years, and in the past 6 months, our building shut down and migrated everything to a work-at-home model. All the stupidity I've experienced in the past 9 years is nothing compared to raw, concentrated levels of mental disability I've saw with this at-home program. I've since put my 2 weeks in, and I start another job next week. I have no words. Like, how am I supposed to believe that not one person just tried to enter their password? Or did they all come together and just try to slack off? 'Cause, wow. Inserting and ejecting DVDs is now IT's responsibility. 7 PM, sitting down for dinner. The lack of ability to bring in any outside food or beverage to the facility I work in has dramatically changed how I view food. Fork and knife in hand, I'm about to finally give my body the nourishment it needs. Ring ring. Oh no, not this again. It's Site Director. I wait it out, let it go to voicemail, close my eyes, pinch the bridge of my nose. My food now getting cold. No voicemail. Ring ring. Site Director. We need you to come to the site right now. We're having an issue with the DVD player in the instruction area, and we need it resolved by tomorrow or we risk being out of compliance. This couldn't have been mentioned earlier, as in, not the eve of the date. Just come in and fix it. You'll be doing us all a big favour. Ah yes, favours. I seem to have a collection of those, but they're not always redeemable. So I arrived at the classroom, instructors there, visibly shaking. I've rarely interacted with this person, this being a building a bit away from my main area. Their manager is also in the office. The instructor, visibly flustered, says, "I don't know what to do. I don't understand how all this works." "Can you show me the problem? What happens when you put the DVD in the drive?" Instructor gives me a blank stare. "Do you have a DVD to play?" As if finally, magically, understanding that the language I was speaking was indeed their native tongue, instructor pulls out a gigantic tome of instructional DVDs. With that were volumes of instructions, written in what looked like manuscript, going back to playing every video form. We'll leave that there for a moment. You see, there was a refresh of technology about 6 months ago, and the DVD drives are now external. This appears to have caused some confusion. Despite giving out guides, down to the mouse clicks of how to play a DVD, apparently I had missed 2 small crucial details. "How do I do it?" asked the instructor. My mind raced with possibilities. For a moment, I truly did not understand the intent of the question. "You see that slot? Insert the DVD. Which way does it go?" "Face up, like normal." I'm so stressed out with this technology stuff, it's always changing. "Would you like me to do a trial run with you?" I motioned gently to the instructor to hand over the DVD. I then showed the instructor how to insert the DVD, follow with them in their notes, which go back to Betamax and VHS instructions in the 90s, with extremely detailed instructions on which button sequences to use. I'm actually impressed by the level of detail captured. Hundreds of pages, Polaroid pictures, things circled. There seems to be some snafu in the mid-90s when the VHS unit they had changed and the button layout wasn't the same. Instructor tells me how they've been in this position for 41 years. I gain the information that they've simply been a human media exchanger for the classroom for most of that time. I go over with them about a dozen times, patiently, on the entire sequence including the missing instructions, insert and eject. Sat with them for about an hour until they felt comfortable with the whole sequence. I stopped by the instructor's manager's office on the way out and explained the situation. Turns out, the instructor is retiring and a new human media exchanger will be taking their place. I sorely wanted to ask if we could convert all the media to strips of programming, therefore freeing a slot for another IT person, but I know how well received that would be. Nearly 3 hours later, finally home, with my cold, soggy dinner on my plate, too tired to even eat. Get an email notification from instructor to entire management team. Thank you, OP, for making me feel comfortable and sitting with me through the process. I might have gone to bed tired and hungry again, but small victories. From that story alone, I now know that I would probably never have the patience to work in this field, if that's the sort of on-call work that I would be subjected to. Okay, so that's all for r/TalesFromTechSupport. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. My Twitter, Discord and Patreon links are in the description, and any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!